I'm going to be showing you an in the hoop project with the Altair 2. So press embroidery. I'm just going to move that arm. You're going to press this one here where it says number 2, and number 10 is where all the in the hoop embroidery projects are. So press that. We're going to be doing number 2, which is the scissors case, and then we're going to set. And now I'm going to tell you everything that you're going to need. We're going to be using the 9x14 frame, so I'm going to take this out. I'm going to use some water soluble stabilizer. My stabilizer isn't quite wide enough, so I'm going to do 2 pieces. So as you can see, I have a part that overlaps in the middle. I'm going to take my hoop and I'm going to press that down. Then I'm going to tighten it up. Then I just pull it taut and make sure that it's just laying flat. You are going to need 2 pieces of fabric that are 7.5 inches by 8 inches, 1 piece of batting that is 7.5 by 8 inches, and also I'm going to use some different coloured threads. You can decide to use the same colours on the machine. It's completely up to you. Place your hoop onto your Altair 2. Hold this back here and then pull down the lever. Press your embroidery button, and it's going to take you to the first part. The first stitch it's going to do, and you can't really see it because it's in yellow, it's going to be a placement stitch for where you place your fabric. So what we need to be aware of is that we are going to place our fabric and it's going to completely cover this stitched area, and it will do. And you can double check just by moving it to one side that you've got it exactly where it needs to go. One thing I like to do is just, if it is floating like this, use some masking tape, painter's tape, and then just keep it into place. You're going to place it back onto your Altair 2, and then it's going to stitch down the fabric that we just laid down. Press the green button. Now it's going to start going to the design. So then it's going to tell you it wants green for the leaves. It's going to stop, and then it'll want you to do the next set of flowers. Then it's going to do the inside parts of some of the other flowers, as well as another separate flower. Change your thread again for another set of flowers. And once again for another set of flowers. And then the last one of the design is going to fill in some of them centres of them flowers. The next part is we're going to take it out of the Altair 2, but do not take anything out of the frame. So just remove it from the Altair 2. Turn the hoop completely over to the reverse side. We're going to cut away any of these stitches here. Now we're going to take your piece of batting as well as the fabric. You're going to put the fabric on top of the batting. You're going to put everything completely over the top of that design. Once again, we are going to use some tape because we don't want it to move. Obviously, we're going to be tipping this back upside down. Now we're going to place this whole design right back into the Altair 2 again. Now this stitch is going to be a running stitch again, which is going to attach the front and the back together. Now I'm going to do that stitch again. So I'm going to press this. I'm going to press back. So it takes me back to that stitch again. And I'm going to let it run again. And I'm going to do it again after this. And the reason being is that I am going to be cutting away this excess fabric. And I don't want any of these stitches to be cut into. So just for added security, I'm going to do it 3 times. Once the design is finished, you're going to take it off the Altair 2, but do not take it out of the frame. So we're taking it off the Altair 2, but we are not going to take this out of the frame. Keep it in the frame. Now with some applique scissors, you are going to just cut down. Pull this fabric back, like so. And start cutting this fabric. You should be able to get quite close with your applique scissors. Do that all the way around. Flip the whole thing to the reverse, taking away the tape again, and you're going to flip it back again, and you're going to do the same thing on the reverse of our design. So that is all cut away both on the front and on the reverse of the design, and I'm going to put it back into the Altair 2. The first thing it's going to do first is the buttonhole. Then it's going to start going around and doing that satin stitch all the way around the scissors case project. Now take this out of your Altair 2, and you're good to take this out of the hoop. And we're going to cut around this stabilizer. Now, if you would have used regular stabilizer for this, you're not going to be able to cut so close to this satin stitch without ruining it. And I don't like the look of excess stabilizer with the tearaway. So we used wash away, remember? So I'm going to get some hot water in a spritz bottle, and I'll show you how to get rid of this. So warm to hot will do, it doesn't have to be absolutely boring. And we're just going to try and spritz this part at the top here. You'll see that it starts to dissolve. Sometimes you'll still see some of the glue, so what I'll do is just run my finger over it, and it is gunky, so just be careful not to touch any of your fabric. If it's still not going away, we're just going to encourage it. So there you go, it's all gone. I highly recommend that you leave this to dry before doing the next stage. It's just a little bit gunky around here. So leave it to dry. Now using a seam ripper, we are going to open this buttonhole up. Just be careful that you don't go through the stitches. We are just doing this bit here. So we're going to put our seam ripper in. And then gently open it out and stop at the stitches. There we go, simple as. So this is how it wants to fold. So you're going to do the part that doesn't have the buttonhole, and then that part is going to go over like so. So you're going to have 2 bits of satin stitch, and then you're going to take a pen, friction pen. I mean, it really doesn't matter what you use, because you're not really going to see this. So you're going to open this up slightly, and you're going to create, I'm going to do this with pencil, it's right there. You're going to create a dot right in the center of that buttonhole to put your button in. So that is my placement for my button. This is going to be easier if we switch the Altair 2 over to sewing. So we're going to go back home. I'm going to press sewing. The arm's going to move back, and we're going to leave the arm on. We don't have to take the arm off. We're going to take the foot off. We're going to use the button foot. I think these buttons are 1/2 inch. They're really quite small. Then they go into the foot. Now, where the 2 red marks are is exactly where you line up the holes for your button. So what I am going to do is do the first set of holes first. So I'm trying to get it as close to the camera as possible. This embroidery foot here, I'm going to take it off, and we're going to put the button attaching one on. Now that's on. We're going to go over to our stitches where it says it's a buttonhole stitch, and then we're going to press this 423, which is for creating buttons. And it says right up here, we want the M foot, please. We're going to put our fabric in right where that little pencil mark was that we made. We're going to put a presser foot down. Now, before we do any stitches, I like to turn that hand wheel around and make sure it's not bashing that button. And this is, so I just need to adjust my button. Now, if that button's been a little bit finicky with you, you can also use a tool. I'm just using my seam ripper just to move that button about. And you might have to lift that presser foot up to do that. I'm going to put it back down, and I'm going to check again with my hand wheel. Is that bashing the button? No, it isn't. So now I can go. So I don't even have to put my my accelerator foot on, my presser foot. So I am just going to press go on the machine, just like we do for embroidery, and there you go. It's going to start stitching that button into place. Now what I actually do, I like to do that twice. So it does it again. And then we're going to have to adjust that button once again to do the other 2 holes on the button. If you've got one that just has 2, then good days, you're all done. I have the 4 holes, so I'm going to have to do another set. So I've moved my button, and once again, I'm just going to move my hand wheel just to make sure that it's in the right place, and it is. So then I'm going to press the green button once again and allow that to stitch the button into place. And I do that again for a second time. Cut. And then I'm going to take that off. Don't worry if you've got something like this, just cut it off. It's fine. There we go. Now once again, we fold that side first, then that goes over the top, and then we're going to put the button through, closing up our scissors case. Let me know what you think of this In the Hoop Altair 2 project. So I made one for my mum. She likes yellows and blues. And then I made one for myself. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more projects. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.